welcome to a Pilates Express session I'm calling Lazy Legs. You don't need anything except for a space to stop, drop, and move your legs for 20 minutes. I am in Dubai visiting my sister at a gym using this Pilates practice to cross-train with my weightlifting routine. We'll begin by lying down on your back, stretching the arms out to a T shape, bending the knees, and swaying the legs side to side, twisting and breathing. Draw the knees into the body, holding the hamstrings, and let's rock from side to side. Take a nice deep inhale. Extend both legs up to the ceiling, point the toes. Reach the arms down by the side, close to the body, and let's start to drop one leg down, hovering above the ground. Lift it back up again, and the second leg drops and lifts. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lengthen to the sky. Keep those legs going, and let's add some arms. Reaching arms up to the sky. The opposite arm is going to lower with that leg overhead. And back to the center. Takes a little bit of coordination and concentration. Keep the center body engaged. Take the hands to the calf of the top leg and let's start to scissor those legs, pulling the top leg in closer to the body. Flex the feet, lengthen the legs even longer. Switch and switch. And one leg drops down to the ground, the other leg high to the sky. Leg circles 6 or 7 times. Keep the hips steady. Stabilize the pelvis. And reverse the direction. Upper body is still. Breath is connected. Bottom leg is steady. Nice, lovely, long circles. Hold here at the top for a hamstring stretch. Breathing in. And that bottom leg is going to lift and lower as we hold the hamstring stretch. Add some footwork, pointing up, flexing down. And bend that top knee across the body into a rotation. Draw the breath down the spine. And return to the center. Hug that knee in before switching legs. Leg circles on leg number 2. Toes point. Steady through the hips and pelvis. Long and lovely leg circles. Keep those palms and back of the arms pressing down. Draw 6 or 7 circles and reverse the direction. Hold at the top for a hamstring stretch, flexing the foot, and now your bottom leg is going to lift and lower. Add some footwork, pointing and flexing that foot. Keep that second leg in motion, hovering above the ground before lifting back to the sky. Bending that top knee across the body into a twist. Opposite hand on top of the leg. Breathe in deeply, find your inhale. And exhale back to the center. Extending both legs up to the ceiling. Flex the feet and let's externally rotate the legs outwards and return to the center. Have those heels pinned together. Keep the external rotation. Draw the legs wide out to the side, finding those inner thighs to pull the legs back to the center again. Flex out, point in, legs long and strong. Keep the legs out wide to the side, feet flexed, and do little pulses up an inch and down an inch. Try that again with pointed toes. Little pulse, 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 and draw it back into the center. Find a reclined butterfly stretch, bottoms of the feet together, holding on to the ankles. Let the knees widen to the side before finding a total body stretch. Shake out those knees, reach the arms overhead. And now flex the feet and exhale. Let's roll up into a seated position. Come down onto your side body, stacking shoulders and hips. Flex the feet and let's lift that top leg a little higher than the hip and lowering back down again. Lift the leg without rolling the hip back. Keep the knee facing forward, parallel leg, and let's start to draw squares or rectangles. Forward, lift it up higher than the hip, bring it back and lower it down to hip height. Forward, up, back, and down. Forward, up, back, and down. And then reverse the direction. Keep the rest of the body still and stabilized. Breath and focus. Keep that leg reaching behind you so your hip flexor is extended on the top leg, and draw circles that reach up, back, around, and down. Go for 8. And reverse the direction. Bottom leg is still and stabilized. Longer circles with each revolution. And moving into leg kicks. Flex the foot and sweep that leg forward. Point the toes and sweep the leg back and behind you without bending the knee. Keep length through both legs. Inhale forward, exhale back. And little pulses with that leg back and back. Use the back of the leg, the hamstring and glutes, pulling that leg back, and add an angle upward. So it's going back and up on an angle at the same time. Exhale, back and up, back and up, back and up. Good, let's stack those bent knees one on top of the other and reach that arm away from the legs into a twist. Breathe in deeply. Rest and recover. Pushing yourself up into a seated position, let's stretch over that extended leg. Breathe into the side body and get a nice little stretch for the back of the leg. Windmill the arms away from the legs, rotating the body, elbows down, looking to the ground. Let that straight leg rotate forward so it's a parallel leg, coming up a little higher with the inhale and exhale, lowering down. To side number 2. Stacking shoulders and hips, let's flex the feet. Take that top leg a little higher than the hip, not too high that it causes you to roll the top hip back and flex that hip flexor. Keep the alignment and start to draw those rectangle shapes. Bring the leg forward, lift a little higher than the hip, sweep the leg back and lower it down to hip height. Go for 4 or 5 of these rectangles and then reverse the direction. Bottom leg is quiet. Breath is fluid. Keep the leg behind you, moving into leg circles, longer and longer. Lengthen out of the hip. Reverse the direction. That leg likes to creep forward in front of the body, but keep the hip extended as the leg circles behind you. Leg kicks. Flex the foot, sweep the leg forward, point the toes, and reach the leg back behind you. Go for lengthening. Reach out of the toes, out of the heel, so you're pulling that hip away from the rib cage. Tailbone long, sitting bones reach to the bottom end of the mat. Keep length in the waistline. Pulsing that leg back and back and back. Behind you, use the glute, find the hamstring, and add that angle upward so it's going back and up at the same time. Dual action move. Bending the knees, stacking the legs. Let's twist it open for a breath or two here. Coming up to a seated position, let's keep one leg extended as the other knee is bent, and we'll reach up and over that extended leg. Twisting away from the legs, dropping down to the elbows, rotating that straight leg forward. And if you can, on your inhale, you'll come up a little higher. And exhale, lowering back down again. Moving on to your front body, softly point the toes behind you. Pull the tummy up and in, away from the floor. Stack hands, rest the head on top, and let's do leg lifts here. Strengthening through low back, glutes and hamstrings. Try to keep the legs straight. If your hip flexors are tight, you'll see that the knee will bend. Keep one leg lifted for pulses, up and up and up and up. And move that pulsing leg into small circles. Recruit the muscles from the hamstring and glutes and tighten the tummy like you could lift the belly button up and in closer to the spine. Reverse the circles. Soften shoulders. And switch the legs. Leg number 2 pulsing up and up about 8 or 9 times, longer with each lift, and then move into those little circles. Try not to move the body. The rest of the body is still, resisting the motion of those little circles. Reverse the direction of the circling leg. Keep the breath. Reach the arms overhead, palms facing down, and lift arm and opposite leg at the same height. Looking down, the head is floating above the ground. Don't go for height, but go rather for lengthening, elongating away from the core. Exhale, keep that lengthening, and try both arms and legs lifting at the same time. Exhale, engage those abdominals as you lift. Keep the legs going as you rest the head back on top of those stacked hands, elbows bent. Take the legs a little wider than the mat now, and you're going to lift the legs, pull them to the center, widen and lower. Lift, center, widen, lower. Lift, center, widen, lower. Adding the element of the inner thigh, pulling the legs towards each other. And you can add the lift of the upper body at the same time as those legs lift, lowering it down as the legs lower. Back body work. Stay at the top, extend the arms, reach the legs longer, and control it down, bending the knees, swaying the legs side to side. Breathe in. Breathe out. Extend the legs back behind you and come up higher onto those elbows under the shoulders. Pull the abdominals in, curl the toes. Let's lift up into elbow plank. Pull the chin towards the throat just a little. Drop knees to the mat and come up into hands and knees. Hands under shoulders, extend one leg long, point the toes, and let's lift and lower that leg. Try to keep the hips square so we're not rotating that hip open. Flex the foot, keep the leg lifted into little pulses and pulses, pulling longer and longer out of that hip. Point the toes, draw the circles. You can do it. Glutes, hamstrings, hips, and a nice strong core. Stabilize shoulders as you reverse the circle. Reach it out a little longer, curl the toes into the ground, and swivel to your side, bringing the top hand behind the head as we do some leg lifts and lowers from this higher position. Reach the leg long as it lifts. Reach overhead now with that top arm as you pulse the top leg 8 or 9 times. Flex the foot and return to the center. Downward dog. Take that second leg and lift and lower from that downward dog starting position. Bottom heel drops to the ground as that second leg lifts and lowers with pointed toes. Palms press, shoulders stabilize, and then come into that single leg plank, resting that moving leg on top of the bottom leg. Hold and breathe. Sit back to the heels for a moment, rest and recover. Let's take it to side number 2. Back to the hands and knees starting position. Extend that second leg for the lifts and lowers. Parallel hips, square the shoulders and hips. Stay at the top for pulses and flex the foot. Move from the center body. Point the toes and circle the leg. Smooth and graceful circles 8 times. Reverse the direction. And moving into a modified side plank, bring that top hand behind the head, bottom hand under the shoulder, and start to lift and lower that straight leg. See if you can lift it to the height of the hip, maybe a little higher. Hold it at the top, extend the top arm long, flex the top foot and pulse and pulse and pulse and exhale, exhale, exhale. Good job. Come back to the center. Find your downward dog. And now that other leg is going to lift and lower in down dog. Point the toes. Keep the rest of the shape still as that moving leg lifts and lowers. And stack that moving leg on top of the bottom leg as you move into plank. Breathe. Stay strong. And sit back to the heels, child's pose. Nice big inhale. Nice long letting go exhale. Have a seat on your mat. Let's extend the legs wide. Stacking the arms. Let's move into some twisting without changing the legs, planting those sitting bones down. Switch the arm that's on top and continue the twist. Recruit from the center body to twist the upper body side to side. Small and controlled twists. And stretch over one leg, forehead or nose towards the knee. Take it over to the second leg. Fold and breathe. Come back to the center. Let's lift the arms to the sky and fold through the middle. Flex the feet a little bit more. Soften the chest down, drop forehead. Breathe into the back body, back of the legs, low back. And walk the hands in, coming right back up, sitting tall. Bend the knees, bring the bottoms of the feet together for our seated butterfly forward fold. Stay here and breathe. And thank you so much for joining me in this Express Lazy Legs No Standing. Until next time.